You are now watching The Meech.
The day has finally arrived. After many years, we finally got the first look at the Super Mario Bros. Movie. There was a lot of anticipation for the movie, a lot of it being, oh my gosh, it's gonna break the internet, it's gonna be so meme-worthy. And we finally got our first look at it. And in today's discussion, I am joined by T&D, better known as some guy who clearly doesn't like Nintendo, to join this discussion. And very fitting considering that he is a film major and an aspiring film director.
Well, not only that, I am a lifelong Mario fan. Mario, besides Sonic, Pac-Man, many other gaming franchises, is my bread and butter. I've been advocating for a new 2D Mario for the longest, which actually I will talk about later on in this discussion, and you'll see why. But yeah, I'm a huge Mario fan, and I think you're just as qualified too, because you like movies. You love Mario. I think anyone's qualified to talk about this. But
Yeah, but you're some
thank you
guy
for
who clearly doesn't like
that.
Nintendo. Oh, anytime.
Yeah.
That's a joke, by the way. We are very
Yeah.
qualified to talk about Nintendo. So, getting into the discussion, before actually talking about the trailer itself, you thought about bringing up the anticipation for it first, which is a really good idea. So, we'll talk about that
Yeah.
first, so I'll let you start.
Well, there was really nothing known about the Mario movie. When it was first announced, it was just kind of like a Twitter statement saying that Illumination and Nintendo were making the movie in joint venture, and Miyamoto was going to be like heavily involved. So that gave a little bit of hope, just because, well, Miyamoto wasn't just like letting Illumination do whatever they wanted. A few years passed, and then Miyamoto actually came out and announced the cast for the Super Mario Brothers movie, and the world imploded on itself. I mean, honestly, just speaking as someone who makes movies and watches a whole bunch of movies, most of the cast is fine. Even Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong, like it funnily fits. The only one that I was never on board with, and this is not an unpopular opinion, was Chris Pratt as Mario. I could not for the life of me see why they chose him as Mario besides like wanting star power. Everyone else made sense. Charlie Day as Luigi, great choice. Jack Black as Bowser, that could be really fun, and we'll talk about him later. Anya Taylor-Joy as Peach, really good choice. Keegan-Michael Key, he could probably do a great Toad voice, and I think the main concern from the Mario movie was that the Illumination's movies usually have this stigma of being pandered towards kids with like fart jokes and like pop music and all sorts of stuff like that. So a lot of us were really scared of the writing, and the voice acting, of course, from Chris Pratt. And we waited a long time, and now we're here. And how do we start talking about our feelings? Where do we start?
So, I think a good place to start is, like you said, my main fear was that Illumination was the one making it. And the way Illumination rolls is what they do is they make usually very play it safe movies designed for kids. Stuff with fart jokes and pop songs and stuff like that. They're also usually cheaply made when it comes to the animation. Not to the point where they look like something like Camp Coral, though obviously there's a huge difference between a Hollywood movie versus, something on Paramount Plus. But you get the idea. Compared to Pixar and Sony Pictures or Sony Animation or, any of those DreamWorks, Illumination always has been like below them in terms of quality. And this is especially apparent in movies like Sing or, stuff like that, where they just get a bunch of celebrities and market it. It's essentially on an assembly line. They're making movies like that. And they've had good movies. I think Despicable Me 1 and 2. I haven't seen any of the others. I thought those were good.
Yeah,
But,
I agree.
and I've heard good things about the new Minions movie. But, with
Yes,
that being
it's very
said,
funny.
the casting was very questionable. And considering Illumination's track record, it just seemed like it would be a perfect setup to have Seth Rogen, Donkey Kong, make some stupid jokes, as well as some of the other characters. And, we didn't see Seth Rogen, Donkey Kong. Maybe that's a good thing, or maybe not. So, let's see about the actual movie itself, how it turned out. So, getting into the trailer itself, it felt like it took forever to get to it. This is going into that Nintendo Direct. But you know what?
Yeah.
I think I've realized now that the pacing of a Nintendo Direct has to be bad for it to be a Nintendo Direct. I'm just surprised they didn't play any farming simulators, or have any of them, or JRPGs. All jokes aside, one thing that just made that go on forever is I'd be fine if it was just like a little thing from Miyamoto at the beginning, but then they just go on and it just feels like forever, even though it really wasn't. But then they get Chris Pratt on talking about, he's talking about how he's Mario and, how he feels about voicing him. And he's like, I've always loved Mario games. I have fond memories playing Mario Brothers in the arcade, stomping Koopas. Okay, first of all, you don't stomp anything in Mario Brothers arcade. I'm assuming that's what he's talking about, because
Well, what
unless...
unless he's talking about versus Super Mario Brothers?
He could be, but Mario Brothers Arcade is the one that I'm assuming he's referencing. Also, I can understand calling them Koopas instead of Shell Creepers, but if you played Mario Brothers, you will know right away that you don't stomp anything in that game. That would be like saying, oh, I have such fond memories playing Pac-Man, jumping on the ghosts. No, that's not how Mario Brothers works. Unless he's talking about versus Super Mario Brothers, it just feels like he's like, okay, I got the role of Mario, so I'll make up some inspirational story. It's always been a dream of mine to voice Mario, despite me not even realizing the main mechanic of the game that I have such fond memories with. But that was just one thing that stood out. But considering we're Mario fans, we know that you don't stomp on anything in Mario Brothers, hence why we're actually playing it in the background. So, with that being said, they finally revealed the trailer, and it started off with Bowser versus the Penguins from Mario 64, which I found a little bit interesting, although they could have used, if they're going for the Arctic theme, considering that they already announced that Cranky Kong and Donkey Kong will be in it, why not have the Snowmads? But really, that's not that big of a deal. It looked really cool. I think that everything that they started off with Bowser's Castle, and then this Snow Castle, and this... What should we call the Penguin group?
I kind of thought of them, you know how in Mario 3, like every world was like distinguished from each other. I'm thinking that all the kings of like each of the lands are like different animals now instead of just humans.
That could make sense. That's a good theory.
And I do have to say, I know we were talking about Illumination's animation before. They're generally like they look pretty good, but it's nothing like outstanding. This looks phenomenal. Like the beginning of this trailer is just chef's kiss. Like Bowser's first off, Bowser's land traveling as like a ship is excellent. Everything just looks really good. It really looks like Illumination took it a step up. I almost want to say I almost want to say it almost looks DreamWorks level quality in some instances. And I'm not sure if that was Nintendo's influence or not, but it looks really, really good and surprisingly faithful to the original games. And I say surprisingly because I think we're just really used to like adaptations just kind of loosely adapting the source material. This is fully embracing it.
Yeah, and I was gonna say that was the first thing that caught me off guard. An Illumination movie that has such high quality animation, that was shocking.
Yeah.
There's a high level of detail for the backgrounds and the characters and such, and we'll talk more about the characters, but everything just looked phenomenal, even from the beginning.
Yeah.
And I really
I
feel
agree.
like it was a great idea to open off on the high note with what was going on with Bowser and the Penguins, because Bowser and his minions really showcased, okay, this movie could actually be good. It started off with
Yeah.
Kamek, and I love Kamek's voice in it. He just sounds like the sort of mad wizard, like, or or he said something like, the King of the Koopas, or something along the lines of that, and it
Yeah.
showcases personality. And who was voice acting Kamek again?
It's Kevin Michael Richardson. He actually voiced Darth Laser in The Fairly Odd Parents.
He did a great job, and he's an actual voice actor, and I could definitely tell that. So you got Kamek, and I think this is also a good time to talk about the designs of the characters. The designs look great for Bowser's minions. They look
Yeah.
phenomenal. The Koopas are a bit taller, but they just look so good. And they even have details like some of them are wearing eye patches. You have Kamek, he looks great, and everything about it. But then it wouldn't be so great if it wasn't for the King of the Koopas himself looking more badass than ever.
Yeah.
They
He looks
nailed
excellent.
Bowser. He looks great. That is exactly what I would
Yeah.
want Bowser to look like. He looks realistic, but not so realistic to the point where he's unrecognizable. And they did a great job being faithful to the design while also, enhancing upon it. If Bowser looked like that in games, I think I'd be fine with that. It actually kind of reminded me of the Brawl Bowser. Do you remember that?
I was. It kind of reminded me more of Melee Bowser, actually. Just like maybe the lighting specifically. But I was gonna say, I don't think any of us, I don't think you or I doubted this because like I thought this was really great casting. But Jack Black is gonna be the star of this movie. Like his voice for Bowser is excellent. Like first off, Jack Black also mentioned at Comic Con today that Bowser will have uh, he will have musical moments in the movie, and Jack Black is known to sing at for Tenacious D, which is his own band. So that is going to be excellent. But yeah, he honestly like he stole the show in the trailer for me, and I'm really excited to see like what else he does because like he's menacing. He's not. I thought he was gonna be goofier than like I expected, but like he's really menacing, and like him like destroying that whole like ice world society down was badass.
They did a great job with Bowser's character, and Jack Black's voice is just perfect for him. And I know some are saying, well, there really wasn't a voice to associate with Bowser. And you know what? You couldn't say that there was a voice in full sentences outside of the Sunshine Cookie Monster. Junior, I have something to tell you about Princess Peach. No, we don't need that. I think it was good at the time. And by good at the time, I mean it was funny and I still laugh about it, but oh my gosh, why did they have Cookie Monster as Bowser? But here,
Uh,
it actually sounds like Bowser is in games because he does the Bowser has a distinct voice and he's spoken in words before. Like if you played Super Mario Odyssey at the beginning, it's like Mario. Oh, it did the Cookie Monster voice,
yeah,
but you know what I'm talking about. So you can kind of
yeah,
understand what it would sound like in full sentences. So Bowser does have a sort of tone associated with him, and Jack Black did a great job fully embracing it. And really, when it comes to Bowser and his minions, nothing but the thumbs up here. I have nothing but good things to say. They did a phenomenal job. In fact, I wouldn't mind if it was just about Bowser and his minions because we get into the
I
Mushroom
agree.
Kingdom side, and uh, where do I even begin? So,
Well, yeah, go ahead.
so we all were questionable about Chris Pratt as Mario, and we were wondering what he would sound like. Would he sound like dorkly Mario? Would he have a New York accent? No, he doesn't have an accent at all. It's just Chris Pratt's normal voice. Well, there's a
Well,
slight Bronx accent. You have to really just listen to. That means you failed as a voice actor. If you
well,
have to closely
yes,
listen, and if it's so subtle and you're
yes,
just doing your normal voice, no, that doesn't cut it.
yes, that's true. It's super subtle. It's a very subtle like New York undertone that he's doing. Like you could hear like some pronunciation. I think also the issue is that we heard Bowser talk more than Mario in this teaser, and I'm not defending how he sounds. He doesn't sound like Mario at all to me. My issue isn't like My issue isn't so much like the accent or like Chris Pratt's like decision on using the voice. My issue is that Mario is typically associated with like a falsetto voice, and I'm not saying he has to like always sound like Charles Martinet, but there's a certain cadence to Charles Martinet's voice that should be carried over to the movie version. For example, Kenny James's Bowser, has a certain cadence to him, and Jack Black kind of has a similar cadence but puts his twist on it, right? Chris Pratt doesn't really have that. He just kind of sounds like Chris Pratt with like, I mean, from what I hear right now, just kind of like a lackluster New York accent. And I'm gonna be honest, like it was kind of like whiplash from like when we heard Bowser to like to Mario. And like his design isn't bad. It's a little weird. The proportions are kind of weird. He kind of looks like if Fix-It Felix Jr. had a cousin, to be honest.
Good way of putting it. It's
Yeah.
honestly with Mario's voice. Could you imagine if there was a Ben movie and it wasn't Ben voicing him, but just some guy who sounded nothing like him, like they took just some random guy from a Walmart? These prizes are suckish.
Yeah. I mean, I will say this: the Mushroom Kingdom looks gorgeous. The movie looks really, really good. And Mario's design does look better in motion. It's still a little weird. But I don't know. Chris Pratt's voice, I'm not digging it. But Keegan Michael Key's voice for Toad, pretty good.
Yeah, I think he did a great job as well. The voice really suited Toad. And with Mario, there's always a claim that, oh, but if Charles Martinet was the voice, he couldn't handle that for like an hour and a half, 2 hours. Okay, first of all, dummy, he is not going to be talking nonstop for an hour and a half, 2 hours. That's not how movies work. There are going to be moments of silence in the movie. And, Charles Martinet has spoken in full sentences as Mario before. If you want to watch the 3DS overview where he's doing the Mario voice, I think it's like a good solid 8 minutes, or something like that. He does a great job. And he has also voiced Wario in full sentences, so whoever is saying these, or whoever's saying that he couldn't do it, that's just not true. And also... Go on.
Oh no, I was gonna say it's funny because I was seeing stuff on this interesting app with a blue bird.
Oh, of course.
Nothing bad. But in the Brazilian and French dubs of the Mario movie trailer, the voice actors for Mario actually have a falsetto voice and sound close to like what Mario actually sounds like. So it's like, and you know what's funny? The Brazilian voice actor for Mario in the Mario movie is the Brazilian dub voice actor for Chris Pratt in all of his movies. How do you have your Brazilian voice actor that dubs your movies in Brazil do a better Mario voice than you?
Well, easy answer. I think we just got to start learning Portuguese. Bom dia, the movie is going to be better in Brazil. Dimitri T&D in Rio, November 31st, 2022. But, that is a good point you bring up because I saw that, and it's just like, you had the Super Show era Mario. Hi, I'm Mario. I'm here to unclog your toilet. You have Charles Martinet era Mario, also known as pretty much Mario in general. It's a me, Mario. We have Chris Pratt Mario. Hi, I'm Chris Pratt. It's just, the problem isn't that it's not entertaining, that's the problem. It's not even something that's so bad that it's funny. It's just something that's so boring that it's boring. And I'll give him a little bit of a benefit of a doubt. I think that maybe if we hear it a little more, it could be fine. But I just think Chris Pratt was not a good choice for Mario. Nothing against Chris Pratt, because I like Chris Pratt. I think most sensible people think he's a great actor. But...
I just think he was miscast. I think everyone else was, like, really well cast except for him. Like, I think I told you this before, but, like, I think he would have probably pulled off the dorkly Mario voice, like, a lot better than, like, the falsetto Mario voice, which is like close to a falsetto, but like I don't think they were going for an Italian accent here. I think from what I could gather in the movie, it's he travels from his world, which is assumedly New York, to the Mushroom Kingdom. So maybe they just want him to be more like New York based in this one instead of Italian, which
And I'd be fine
is
with that,
fine.
but it's just like
Yeah.
they don't even attempt. Or he doesn't
No,
attempt to
and
do the
I think
voice.
I think it's like I want to hear more of his voice before I make a definitive judgment on it. We're obviously going to get more footage later on, but as it stands right now, pretty underwhelming. But you know what? It didn't deter me from how I feel about the movie overall. I'm really optimistic about it, and I have to say, the film composer working with Koji Kondo on making sure that the movie has all the game songs in there is really reassuring, because there's a lot of video game movies that they don't really have the themes of the video games in there to a large degree. Like
Yeah,
they probably have one thing in there, like let's use Sonic for example, like Sonic 1. They just have Green Hill Zone, nothing else, just Green Hill Zone, no Crush 40, no nothing. And just, knowing that, Brian Tyler, who's a great composer, is working with Koji Kondo to make sure that the original compositions just sound more cinematic is going to be really exciting to hear. I mean, this is what people want when they want video game adaptations on the big screen. You
and
know,
with
they
Nintendo,
just
I think they're
yeah.
definitely working closely to make sure that this doesn't become the train wreck that was Mario 1993. Although I can guarantee it's not going to even be close to that.
No,
This
no, this
actually
is
looks
this is
good.
already better.
No, it doesn't
Yeah, I
just
mean,
look like it's going to be decent, it looks like it's going to be good. But like you
I
said,
it looks kind of charming. I mean, let's I don't want to say let's give Chris Pratt the benefit of the doubt, but like let's wait for more context on his Mario voice, because Mario's scenes did seem kind of spliced together compared to like Bowser's voice. Like for example, if we just heard Bowser say "open the door" the way he said it like that, we'd be kind of shaky on his voice too, would we not?
I wouldn't say to the same extent because it at least sounds
Not
like
to the
what
same
Bowser is supposed to sound like.
Yeah, not to the same extent, but like I want to give it a little bit of a chance and see like what the context is. But look, it's not going to make me not see this movie. I'm in there day one. I
Me
want to
too.
see how this works, and I'm really curious what Charles Martinet is doing in the movie, because he's like a big name on the credits. He's either narrating the movie or he's playing another character, like maybe Wario. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, I don't really know what else to say. I mean, and also I wanted to mention that there were no there were no markings of like an Illumination trailer. There was no pop songs, no fart jokes. The jokes were actually, inoffensive, or like I would even say pretty funny to an extent. Like the Penguin versus Bowser fight was funny, and like the Toad jump scare was a little funny too. Nothing doesn't really feel too much like an Illumination movie.
And I think that's a good thing in the context of, this is a Mario movie and it's one of the very few adaptations of a Nintendo game. I don't really count Pokemon, but, definitely things are
Uh,
looking pretty good. Based on the teaser trailer, I think that it's fair to say that at the very least this will be a good movie. Potentially great. It's very clear that Nintendo is working closely on this to assure the quality, and I'm
oh yeah,
excited for it. I'm not a fan of Chris Pratt as I'm not a fan of Chris Pratt as Mario. I will give him the benefit of a doubt, but I think I can kind of understand how I'm going to feel about it. I don't like it. Although I will say, I think Charlie Day as Luigi did a good job, even though you couldn't really hear what he was saying. It was just
oh
a
yeah,
few screams, but I could already kind of tell just based on the tone that it will probably sound pretty good. Although I'm not sure, so I can't really say anything about that. I can confidently say Jack Black as Bowser is great. Kamek and Toad are great, but Mario's just the iffy one, which is funny because you might as well just
yeah.
call this the Bowser movie featuring Mario, and I think that it would have
I mean,
just gotten critical acclaim if that were the case. If Bowser was just the main
yeah,
role of it. But I also wanted to bring
It's
up
really
one last
yeah. Go
thing.
ahead.
I think
Uh huh.
Luigi's design is actually better than Mario. It just looks more on model.
I think they both look pretty much. I mean, they're not the same character, but like it seems like the same philosophy was introduced to their characters. I think the problem with Mario is that when you design him in a more realistic way, like this, you lose a little bit of his chubbiness in his character. I mean, he looks a lot slimmer than the video game version. I was seeing like his proportions are like different. It's like less cartoony. His eyes are like closer together. He has more of a narrow face than like a wider face that he has. Um, and it makes him look a little bit more older, I would say. But yeah, I think they both generally look good in motion, and I think that's what's important. I did also want to mention this is my last point. Off the movie for a second, but I have a theory. I think there will be a new 2D Mario to coincide with the movie. Uh, I think it would be like a triple whammy. We would have the Universal theme parks, we would have the movie, and we would have a new 2D game. I mean, you can't tell me that Nintendo would not be willing to do that.
Well,
You know,
Nintendo forgot how to make games, remember? No, that does
yeah.
sound like a good theory, but it's just a matter of if Nintendo is going to do it.
I mean, we'll see. I could even see like I know Foreman Spikes in this movie, but I could see them adding like movie characters back into the main series in this game. But yeah, it's just a fun little theory. I think a 2D Mario game would be a nice like coincide to like release with the movie. Like, for example, if I bring my brother to see the movie and afterwards he's in the mood to play a Mario game, it'd be nice to go straight to GameStop and play a brand new Mario game.
That'd be cool to see. But, we'll just have to wait and see, because Last Direct was just farming simulators. But you know what? You could be onto something. Be nice if we were developed by Goodfeel, but that's a
Oh yeah.
that's an even greater discussion for another day. Well, anyways, that about wraps things up. I am Demich, Pretendo Demich, and that is T&D, better known as some guy who clearly doesn't like Nintendo. And keep calm and
Yep.
da-da on.